Today, I'm going to show you how to create these beautiful, magical, upcycled book art out of books that otherwise would have ended up in the landfill. The things we need to create our book art are some books, and these are books that were headed to the landfill. So these are books that had pages missing, the covers are beat up, whatever the case may be. These are books that otherwise would not have had a life beyond what I'm doing for them now. So it's not like I'm destroying books on purpose or anything like that, but I will say you can usually find a decent amount of books at thrift stores, antique malls. Sometimes you can find them at library sales, things like that, and you can get them for pennies on the dollar sometimes. And truthfully, if they don't sell, they may end up in the landfill. Hundreds of thousands of books end up in the landfill every year, and this is just another way for us to be able to upcycle them and give them another life and make them beautiful at the same time. So I have a couple old books here. So besides the books, we're also going to need some pages. Some of these are pages that I ripped out of the books that already had the damage. Some of them are pages that were just falling out because the binding was letting go. And some I've made copies from other books and illustrations and then just kind of tore the edges to make it look old and tattered. We're also going to need a staple gun. We're going to use some E6000 glue. I have some double-sided tape, and I have some mini D-rings. We're also going to use some of the poster hanging command strips. Let's get started. Would you like a chance to win one of my potion bottles or an optional giveaway like I did this month with the 3 books we created here today? Then consider supporting me over on Patreon. All of my patrons have a chance to win a monthly potion bottle. Link is in the description down below. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my 3 books that we're going to work on today and the D-rings, and we are going to put them on here. Now, the D-rings are going to be how we can hang these so that they're removable. And I don't want to wait for these to dry, so once I E6000 these, I'm going to put a piece of tape over it. So then that way the tape will hold it till it dries. It'll be on there permanently too, which is fine, but it'll allow me to continue working. So if that's something that you want to do, you can do that as well. Otherwise, you can pre-glue these, let them sit out for the day, and then the next day you can go ahead and move on. But I don't want to wait all day. I want to show you guys how to do it, and then I want to move on to the next steps. So I'm going to take some of our E6000 glue, and I'm going to squeeze it out. And you really don't need a lot. We just need enough for it to squish into that section. And then, like I said, I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to go over the whole thing so that we will still be able to continue on our way. And like I said, nobody's ever going to see the back of these books. These are basically just on here to help you hang it. And they don't have to be perfect height-wise, front to back. I mean, I'll make them as even as I can. But a lot of times you're going to want to angle your books anyway, so it's really not going to matter. But once this glues down all the way, this should be 100% safe to hang this up. If you don't want to hang your books up with D-rings like this, you also could use a nail gun to nail it right into your wall once we get the art complete. So just be careful. You don't want the nail to shoot right through the book. You want to make sure that you mess with the settings just enough that it will lock everything into place, but at the same time, hold your book and not go right through it. So that is another option for hanging, but I wanted to give you guys a choice in case you wanted to make it removable and not nail gun into your wall. So this is a great option if you're in an apartment or anything like that. Alternatively, you also could use the command strips on the back of this. You just have to make sure that the surface that you're sticking it to does not have a texture, because command strips really don't like textured walls. So if you have any type of texture on your wall or the surface you're sticking it to, it's probably not going to like it too much. I feel like this would be really awesome in a classroom, so even if this was on like cinder block walls, I feel like you could totally do it with a command strip. But I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do it with some E6000 glue today. Okay, so we got this side all glued down. I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to glue the D-rings onto the other side. So now that I have these all gluing, and they will take a little while to dry, we're going to go ahead and make our book art. Okay, so I have my book here, and we are going to do 3 different styles of the book art on these pieces today. So as you can see how this is kind of ripping out. It had definitely lost some pages. That is why it is here today, because again, this was destined for the landfill, but I'm not going to let it go there. We're going to give it another life today. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take a section of the book, and it's usually, I would say, maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and we're going to hold it open, and then this is where our staple gun is important. So we're going to staple a couple staples into our book, and as you can see, it did not go through the book, but it did staple it down to the cover, so then that way those pages are secure. And then I'm going to take another chunk, and we're going to do it again. And sometimes I like to push them forward just a little bit so you get a little bit of this hump, so it makes it look like the book is open, being read, and I just think it adds a really cool element. Oh, apparently I need to add more staples. Okay, let's try this again. So I've got my staple gun here. Again, I like to just give it a little bit of a bump. There we go. And add my staples. Okay, so with this one, I only want a little bit of pages on this side, and then we're going to do some art stuff. So I'm going to actually go ahead and staple this side down. And again, didn't go through the cover, but we're able to get it, secured to the cover. And if you do it like this, and it didn't actually, it kind of went through, but it didn't stay, just pull back some more of those pages and hit it again. And this time it definitely went to the cover, but again, didn't go through, so that's perfect. And then we're going to continue on this side, adding some sections of pages. And I was inspired to do this from the new Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. Lally Hicks, or Eulalie Hicks. I loved her, but I loved that she used charmed book pages and books as Portkeys. And it was just so magical and so beautiful the way they would come out of the case or come out of thin air. She would just toss a page or a book, and I just really, really liked it, and I liked her. Okay, see, this is a page, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull that out. And anyway, I was inspired to do something, that seemed like it fit her. And I thought, what better way than to create an art piece that could be up on the wall all the time, that just adds a little bit of magic to the room, but doesn't look like it's magic. It just is beautiful and flowy, and that's kind of the way I wanted it to be. So I think we're going to start our little book art over here, and then whatever pages are left, we'll go ahead and staple those down. So I like to start by just bending a page up so it looks like it's turning. And then we're going to staple that down. And then we take the next page, or you could even do 2 pages. It really doesn't matter. And we're going to fold it, well, not really fold it, bend it so that it's a little shorter than the last one. And again, be careful to staple this direction so we don't crease these. You definitely could crease them. You can do whatever you want. That's the beautiful part about this. You can make so many different patterns and styles that the possibilities are really endless with this. And you can kind of change the direction you're going or how you're facing it. you know, see where the book takes you and just let it go. So see, I wouldn't necessarily want to bend this one up because it's just going to be a blank page. So truthfully, I'm probably going to rip this page out. But I love the ripped edge we get to maybe use to hang it up as a background page. Okay, so we're going to bend this one back. Now you'll notice I'm trying to make sure I keep this in the crease, and there's a reason for that, because the next one will kind of go over, but if you do too many in a certain area, sometimes it has issues staying down. And then the other cool thing that you can do with this is you can just kind of start to bend up these other edges, bend up these pages down here. You know, you can kind of do a lot of different things. And here, I am going to do another page like this. So many empty pages. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to bend a small section of them, and we're going to staple it up here. And for this one, I'm going to kind of crease it back. And you don't have to do this. You could cut that off if you wanted. Nobody would ever see it. But I'm going to crease it back because then I'm just going to do 2 more pages. And you're going to see we're going to ripple this like this, but this top page, because I have 2 pages here, I'm going to hold that back, and I'm just going to staple the one. Because this one, because I don't want to see my staple, I'm going to use double-sided tape and tape this one in place. And I kind of love the way we get these little ends right here, to the point that I may end up curling them up a little bit with like a pen or a Sharpie or whatever. Just something to help you curl. And then we can just kind of flare it out a little bit once we get it curled. And then we can just fan it out. And I kind of love the look we get with that. So I'm going to take my double-sided tape. You could also use glue dots or glue. Just be careful. Some hot glue, you can actually see it come through the paper. Lots of super glue will come through the paper, so I really don't recommend that. So you just want something that's going to be pretty safe and secure. If you do scrapbooking, some of the acid-free scrapbooking tape would be perfect for this as well. I've used multiple different things, but I find that the double-sided tape works just as good. You just want to make sure you give it a good rub down. So as you can see, that kind of gave us this cool finished look. And then there's a couple pages here that are up. So I'm actually going to add another staple underneath my little stack here, just to help keep it down. And as you can see, we have our beautiful art made from our old books that, again, would have been in the landfill had we not saved them. And I'm just going to end up giving them a little bit of flair. I like to mess with the pages. Now, you could definitely tea stain these books if you wanted, or even just use a spray bottle with some tea or coffee in it, and you can spritz the whole thing and then let it sit outside to dry, and it'll add a few like dots of darker color. But I love the natural old patina of a book, and I love that each book has its own coloration, so I chose not to mess with that. But you can definitely do whatever you want. You could definitely age these up. You could tea stain them. You could do any of that, and it all would be really beautiful. So, all right. So here is book 1, and we have our little hangers on the back. So it's going to allow us to hang this up on the wall, and we can hang it at an angle. We can do anything we'd like with it, but I think it's just cool that it looks like it flew open and is being read. So now I'm going to show you another style. Okay, so for the next book, I'm going to again show you another style. So we're going to open it up, and I'm going to kind of find, doesn't necessarily have to be the exact halfway point, but just something that looks like it's open and maybe in the middle of reading. And again, so to help kind of hold my place if that's where I want to do it, I'm going to take a section of pages, and we're going to staple it down. Okay. Now for this one, I'm going to take sections of pages, and we're going to slightly tilt them at the bottom here so that the book pages will kind of make a swoop, but will also kind of go upward. And while I'm doing this, it's also kind of bending this up a little bit. Now, when we get to our center, again, you want to take one of the pages and leave it set aside. That's interesting. It got like partially blacked out. That's funny. And we're going to staple these down. And then again here, I'm going to use my double-sided tape to stick that last page down. So that we don't see our staples. Okay, so as you can see just right now, we kind of have this open, beveled look about it that's just super cute. And we're going to do the same thing over here, except we're going to do the opposite angle, so again, it's going to go up. Now, alternatively, you could do it so that you're angling this up over here, and you've kind of got this opposite effect. So that is another option you could definitely do. That's why I'm saying, like, these are so fun to make because all the different designs and like patterns and things you can do with them is endless. I just wanted to show you a few different ones today, and then obviously in the very beginning you saw the wall I put together, and I'm going to show you more of it here at the end. But I used several different styles with the 11 books that I made, and I loved making them. I just thought it was super fun. So we're going to do the same thing here as I did over there. And I'm going to staple this down. Now, if you were going to staple gun this to your wall instead of using the D-rings, all I would say is pull back one of these layers and then nail gun it down through one of these. or through layers up here, but you again want to hide how you hang it, so you could just kind of put your nail gun through those layers there, and then your pages would go right on top of it and nobody would ever know how you affixed it to the wall. So if you don't want to do the D-ring option and you want to nail gun it in, by all means, go ahead. It works great. I did it for some of mine, just because I don't plan on taking mine down, so I didn't mind doing them with the nail gun. But I do have a couple on my wall that I did with the D-rings because I did want to make them removable. Okay, and we got this really great open book look. And then again, we can go through and just kind of leaf through these pages, help bend them up a little bit, so it looks, you know, not as uniform and just kind of gives it a little bit of an aged or worn look. And just helps it to, you know, add a little bit of movement. But I love the way these books turn out. So let's go, and I'm going to show you one more. This last book I'm going to show you, it's a really fun design that I think is super cute looking on a wall. So again, we're going to kind of find the middle. I'm not really a fan of the way those pages look, but for this one, it won't matter as much. So I'm first going to start. I feel like that's a little more center. So I'm going to start by stapling down sections on both sides. And this time on the ends, we're just kind of going for an open book look, so you don't have to do anything fancy. We're just staple gunning it down. Okay, again, I'm going to tape this page down. And actually, I didn't realize this was a chapter ender, so I'm going to do one more. Oh, book, you're killing me. Okay, so the last 3 pages on this one are taped down, which is just fine. And again, you just want to make it rub down good. Okay, so now that we have all this, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So what we're left with is a stack of pages here in the middle. And what I really like to do is take those pages, and you could do more than one at a time. You could do 2, and you just fold them towards the center. And then I like to go to this far end and do the same thing. And when we fold this to the center, you just want to make sure you push it in all the way. And the tension of these pages will actually hold it in, and you won't have to do any gluing or taping for this, unless you felt like it was absolutely necessary. But I have found that I didn't need to do anything on mine, and they've held up just fine. And once we make sure that both sides are in all the way and down, we have this really cool fanned look. And you could do more than this, you could do less than this, and it just adds a really cool texture in the middle of the book. And you could do all kinds of stuff over here. You could bend them up and have them look different too, but I just think it's really fun to have one that's got this rolled look in the center. And As you saw on mine, I added some greenery to it, which I think just adds a whole nother level to these. Again, we could, bend up all these pages. You really are limitless with all the options you can do with these. And then the last thing we need to do is figure out what pages we're going to tape in the background. Are they going to be illustrated? Are they going to be pictures? Are they just pages out of our book? Are they going to be chapters that are numbers that are significant to you? Like on my wall, there's a chapter 29 up there, and that's because me and my husband got married on July 29th. And there's favorite numbers of ours, old sports jerseys, things like that. So, kind of find some significance in what you put up there. I pulled different chapters out. Some of these books had such cool aging and patinaing already, but like I said, you could definitely tea stain or coffee stain these. You could crumple them up, you could bend them, whatever you want to do, but I just think it's really fun to have a bunch of different options of things that you can do up on the wall with these books. And another thing is you could make, like a canvas or a board with these where you have, maybe you'd even decoupage the pages in the background and then you hang your books on there. So in that way it's a removable art piece. I just think it's such a fun thing and they look so cool. And everybody who comes into my house and sees it is just in love with it. And I think it's a really great way to upcycle these books that, again, would have ended up in the landfill. And I would hate to see that because I love books. I love the way they're bound. I love the way they feel. And I'm just happy that I'm keeping them from rotting in the ground, basically. Since I was inspired by Lally Hicks from Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore to create this beautiful book art, I also decided to create a new shirt for my Etsy store. And I decided to use one of the quotes she says in the movie. You know what they say, a book can take you around the world and back. All you have to do is open it. So if you're interested in this shirt, the link is in the description down below. So there you have it, our beautiful book art that just looks so magical and has a really cool vintage nostalgic vibe, and it lets us upcycle some books that otherwise would have been in the landfill. So if you guys like this video, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we will catch you guys later. Thanks so much.